So public comment.
You want to officially open the meeting?
Yes, we can officially open the meeting. We've got roll call we have quorum, all of us are in attendance. Just so you know, Tracy will not be attending tonight. She was unable to make it due to some personal reasons. So we will not have a town administrator's report tonight, but there are no big issues for her to bring to us. She texted me earlier.
Okay.
So public comment. To receive oral communications from members of the public. Members of the public may address the Finance Committee for up to 3 minutes, longer with the permission of the chair. The Finance Committee will not engage in discussion on topics raised during public comment, but may choose to add the topic to a future agenda. This agenda segment will be limited to 15 minutes unless time is extended at the discretion of the chair. Seeing no members of the public, we don't need to do that today. First item on the agenda is to review and approve the minutes from the last 3 meetings. They have all been attached. So July 12th, September 13th, and October 4th meetings.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Can we all vote? I can vote or no.
I believe it was said before, right? Didn't the attorney say even if you weren't present, that you could still vote on the approval?
If you viewed the meeting.
Oh, if you
If you
viewed
viewed the
the,
meeting, yeah.
Any edits or discussion?
None here.
All right. All those in favor of accepting the meetings?
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. No town administrator's report, and what I'd like to do is just switch the order of agenda to go to new business to discuss an item that is in your packet that came to us after the agenda was posted, but is provided in hard copy for all here. We have a request for a reserve fund transfer. It is a request in the amount of $7,500 to be transferred to the Shellfish Constable expenses, and it is for the purpose of a drone system. And we do have the Chief of Police here to walk us through a little bit of this request for the Shellfish Constable operating budget. It would be to purchase equipment to facilitate a drone program in the Shellfish operations. So, do you want to
Sure.
give us a little overview?
Yes. First of all, I just want to thank the board for, as I'm retiring in 22 days, that was counting, I just want to thank the board for their 24 years of support that they've given my department in the last 2 years, especially in my current position. But I genuinely want to thank you both
Thank
for
you
that.
for
Yeah,
your years
we
of
get you in the
service.
chief's position and gone.
Yeah, I know. What else is that? So on my way out the door, it was presented to me the option or the possibility of filling the vacant Shellfish Constable position. And after much consideration and weighing whether or not it's feasible for me to do that, or if I could provide the service that's required, there were some modifications to the approach to efficiently do the monitoring that has to happen out at the flats, and provide all the documentations and all the regulations that go with it. We're in a kind of delicate area with our flats, with the Division of Marine Fisheries. There's a lot of things we have to do to keep our statuses open. And one of the things that I wanted to do to make it viable is I had to reduce it to a part-time position. And a lot of time is spent to make it a full-time position in going out, actually physically going out to the flats in the winter, in the summer, a couple of times a day, depending on what's going on. But you have to document, especially when the flats are closed for conditional closures for rainfall, and they might be contaminated. They have to get flushed and cleaned before the harvest is safe again. So you have to go out there and monitor this, and a lot of time is taken up doing that. Getting the boat, hooking the boat up, getting it out off the ramp, traveling out the river, hitting all the different landing spots that are out there, monitoring, make sure there's no activity, especially when there's a closure. And then you're back at the landing and checking the harvest. That part would stay. But I realized that there was a lot of savings that could be realized with streamlining that operation of at least the patrols. So what it would give us is you give the Shellfish Constable the ability to see if there's a reason to go out to the flats, because as it stands right now, you don't know if there's anybody out there until you go out there. So with this program in place, you can quickly, within 10 minutes, evaluate the situation out there, come back, and then deploy if you have to, if you see some activity out there. So that is one of the key components that makes this viable for a part-time position. What the town would realize is a $30,000 recouping of wages in FY24 because it's now reduced that much. So this program would pay for itself 3 times over, or it should, in the first fiscal year. And then going beyond the applications for the Shellfish Constable, the public safety benefits are immeasurable. I mean, I put some of them down in my presentation to you, but the program I'm looking for, purchasing, also comes with a thermal camera. And so that is helpful for my soon-to-be office because when there's a lot of poaching concerns and and after-hours concerns of people being out on these flats and not local, so I'm getting inclinations that there might be some transients coming in and utilizing our flats. So this will give me the opportunity to patrol these areas after hours. That's safer, it's less wear and tear on equipment, and it's more purposeful. So that the economic value there is obvious. But this thermal camera for search and rescue efforts, and I'll use an example. I'm just going to be very broad, in the interest of privacy. But we had an incident where there was a person we believed was lost in the woods very recently, and possibly he had come to harm. And so our efforts to find this person, we were pretty sure where this person was. We had a real good idea, but we didn't have the resources to go in and do an appropriate search of this wooded area because we tried to call the helicopter from the state police using their systems. They weren't flying for a low ceiling for the weather. And then we called our Nemlik brothers to come in and with their canines, and it's a great resource, but it's time. So by the time they come in and they're mobilized and they actually do the search, we're talking about an hour and a half, maybe a little stronger, has elapsed from the time of the call. And we knew that this person was close, and it still bothers me today that this person was found probably from here, twice the distance off the roadway as Tracy's office, from where we were all standing around waiting to mobilize, because you have to wait for the dogs to come in, and they don't want you contaminating the area. They don't want you out there walking around because that messes up the dogs' efforts because of your scent. So they want all the cruisers shut off, they want to secure a perimeter, and you just wait, which is the worst thing. There is no doubt in my mind, zero doubt in my mind, if we had this program, we would have had this resolved in 10 minutes. Up, over, red dot there, look, there she is. Just that simple. So, so that's just for the search and rescue and EMA type of applications. I talked to the fire chief, again, expounding the program, having something available like this in town. One of the issues that he says it'd be invaluable for is when they have a structure fire. If they have what they call hotspots, I'm a fire guy, I'm paraphrasing, so. But when they knock down a fire, when they knock down a structure fire, now they're going through the whole process of overhauling, making sure there's no hot spots, make sure there's nothing else in the walls. And what that usually means is ripping walls apart if you think there's something there. They have their thermal goggles.
I was going to say,
they have those.
We got a thermal camera from those guys.
And those were, no, they work great, but what they don't have is the ability to look high and down, so the hot spots for venting the roofs and that sort of a thing, so where the temperature's really building up. So that, again, from the fire service aspect, that's a valuable tool there. And then beyond that, Chief Jan was saying that they have a fair amount of brush fires. And the problem with brush fires is you can't really evaluate where you should deploy. You have to you have a rough idea, and you have to go out there and try to find the best way to attack the brush fire. But if you don't know what's being threatened, which way it's going, how big the area is, so he says it's valuable. You go right up, and with the thermal, you actually have a ring, and you can see which way it's moving, and you can deploy your resources in the most effective way. So the reason why I bring that sort of a thing up is it isn't just about the benefit of my office, or soon-to-be office. It's more, it can be expounded into other public safety aspects. And I was really encouraged too when I first started looking into this, the costs. coming way down. The last time we visited this years ago, it was like 12 years ago, we kind of explored it, and it was over $25,000 for these units, and so now they're really coming down to a manageable number. I was happy to see that. But I mean, that's it in a nutshell. You know, any questions?
Training, and where would it,
Who owns it?
who owns it?
Yeah.
The town owns it.
No, I'm sorry,
But,
where does it, where would it reside? Fire, police?
It would reside with the Shellfish Constable's
Shellfish.
office because that's what's going to be used pretty much every day in those services.
And who would be trained?
I would be trained, and I'd also like to see a fire personnel be trained, and also police. I'm actually going through the training now anyway. I'm going through the Part 107 certification through FAA. I've already got the recreational certifications. And it's pretty comprehensive. But one of the big components of it is you always want to have somebody else. You know, generally as a rule, especially on an emergency response, you want to have a pilot, and you want to have somebody else, what they call a VLOS, that's a visual line of sight person, or somebody else monitoring, you know, and then you can tag off. When somebody gets tired, you can tag off and switch. And another thing about this system here, it's called Flight Hub 2. It's a DJI product, and I'll get a little technical with you, but it's a real value because the data and the visuals are uploaded to the cloud. And now the police chief could be sitting in her office and watching it and directing an operation just by logging into Flight Hub, and she can actually drop pins and GPS, and I want to look at this, can you zoom in on that, can you get, we don't need, you know, all we have to be is like phone communication. Or better, you know, it's like at the scene, it's like the monitor itself and the control is about that big. You don't want 3 people looking over your shoulder, you know, they can be over in a command post, they can be offsite, they can be anywhere with a regular computer screen watching the whole operation, and you're just the pilot, you know, at their direction.
Chief, what's the range, what was the range considerations for cost? Is this middle of the range or bottom of the range?
Well, they go as expensive as $25,000, I've seen that, and you wouldn't want to go any much lower than that because of the quality of the thermal imaging that comes with this particular unit. And one of the other things I did like about this one here, I did some research on it, it was one of the most quiet ones too. It's portable. It's, you know, it's all self-contained in a case, and it's quiet, and it has flight time, really high flight time, 45 minutes.
So this is on the lower end of the range?
It's like the mid. This is
Oh,
about the
okay.
mid. Yeah, as far as price points, it's about the mid, but it's appropriate because as you go up, the size goes up, the complexities go up. You know, the accessories you can put in it go up. But we don't need that kind of a thing. You know, the other thing I didn't mention, this particular unit has a speaker, a loudspeaker on it that, you know, is part of an attachment, so you can actually communicate with a person that you're rescuing while they come and you can communicate, and through visuals they can give you yeses, nos, you know, whatever. They can't speak back yet, but you can actually talk to them. It also has scene lighting, so you can hover over something and boom, light it up too.
Slick.
Yeah, so it's pretty pretty unique.
So privacy issues, is that a concern?
Technically, there really aren't any. The airspace is no, I mean, it depends on who you ask. That's kind of like one of these weird things. From the ground to the universe, it's supposed to be, is considered private. It depends on what the operation that you're doing. If it's a police operation where a search warrant might be, you couldn't use that for that. For rescue operations and that sort of thing, you absolutely can. Yeah.
What about cost of training? Did you say anything about that? Cost of training,
Yeah.
does that come with it?
Well, it
Never.
actually does. That
Well,
incorporates the use of their thing.
Yeah.
But as far as the certifications, the training I'm going through right now, it's $250. I'm doing
Okay.
that. It's very,
Yeah, it's not-
no,
It's
Okay.
minor.
Minor.
no.
Minor compared to, okay, I just, you know, thank you.
Yeah, and as far as any continuing costs, very, very little. The price point that I'm looking at here, I actually have an extra battery hub, and it comes with an extra 3 batteries. So this particular unit actually is what they call a hot swap for the batteries. You can hot swap it. You bring it in, and you land it, and you change out the battery quickly, and you don't lose any data. You don't lose the GPS locations where it started off. you know, and then it goes right back to where you want, it does grid searches, you know, and that's all that programming stays in with the hotspot and the battery. So we conceivably can put, it's a 60-minute full charge on a dead battery. So if you have 6 batteries, you can do the math, you can put this right up in here and just leave it.
Okay, back to privacy.
Yeah.
There's some illegal activity going on in someone's backyard. You're not specifically going to see that, but you happen to see it. What is,
It would depend, I'm kind of,
maybe you don't want to answer it.
Yeah, no,
I'm
this
just,
is good, this is good dialogue, because it depends on what you're up there for in the first place.
Yeah.
If you're up there and you're going across, you know, for a public safety, a search, or you're up there for another reason, that would be a case-by-case situation that I would probably suggest would be talk to the district attorney's office, say, hey, look, this is what we got, what do we do with that? Is this probable cause? It wouldn't be probable cause for a search warrant, by my estimation.
But exigent circumstances, I mean, you could take action.
contingent,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, if someone was about to shoot somebody.
Yeah. I thought you were talking like an illegal grow
Contingent
or something like
circumstance,
that.
I thought that, I was trying to think of that term.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you come across that type of situation, obviously you take action,
Yeah,
and file the paperwork you need afterwards.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. But if someone was, back in the day, was growing illegal,
That's where my mind went first with that type of activity, but not, you know, I mean,
I just want to make sure I
something-
cover my mouth.
So exactly where you going with this?
Enforcement can walk into that at
You know it's legal though, right?
any property
Yeah,
right
you
now too,
Yeah,
right? So
that's right.
that's probably no different.
It's 41 partner. I have all the cows out there.
Did you run this thing?
They're happy cows.
I'm just thinking about, I remember during the summers, you know, I live on the island, there being a patrol during the summers
That would be.
The island would be amazing for that, yeah.
for like all the, you know, the fires and all the crap that's going on there. You could probably run this thing,
9 miles. It's got a range of 9 miles.
so you could run
Wow.
this thing down the beach and see.
You still have to observe, you know, visual line of sight under most applications. There are waivers, you know, situational waivers you can obtain through FAA. But yeah, the range is amazing as far as that's concerned. And they also have it down the line for town planners or whatever, you know, even for applications, you can get the RTK system, and that is real-time something. It's mapping. It's 3D mapping. And so basically what it does, you set up a grid. The perfect example is if you want to keep track of what's happening on the island, you can set up grids, and what it does, it just takes all the pictures and stitches it all together as a 3D picture as to what you actually have.
So that's an add-on
It's
application.
it's an add-on application. I believe that is about a $5,500. Might be a little bit more with the stand. Probably about $7,000.
Well, you know, with the considerable cost savings here from 60,000 down to 30,000, should there be a consideration to do a higher model, cost efficient, something more cost efficient but at a higher scale? Do we get any benefits?
I did a lot of research on what I think would be best application for what I'm here for tonight. And you can spend, you can go up, and you want to stay within the class of the Part 107 under 55-pound classification to stay, with FAA.
Comes in like a
regulation.
suitcase, doesn't it?
It comes in a suitcase and it's a self-contained. What it is you got the unit that folds up, you got 6 batteries, 2 hubs, spare props, all that support stuff is there, landing pad. Thing you don't think about, just a flip-out landing pad so we can land in someplace.
You get a couple.
Sounds like a no-win.
Right.
Tommy?
Well, I look at this as being, the first thing I think about is just safety of the people. We're not putting somebody on the water in the middle of the night by themselves, whether
Yeah.
they're drowned or fall in, or,
Yeah.
injury-wise. To me, that's like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Secondly, if we've got people on the water that are in violation, we have video of what's going on, so we're not becoming confrontational, where we're now one-on-one with people. And lastly, I think that, for this amount of money for the town, it's like a no-brainer for public.
Win-win
safety.
was what I intended to say.
I'm not sure if you're aware either, Ethan Cohen, who works here.
Yeah.
He is very familiar with working with drones.
Perfect.
He's also a pilot, so he might be a great
Excellent.
resource for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right,
All right, thank you very much.
President voting, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None? No one abstaining?
Out with a drone.
You get 45 minutes per battery.
That's what, yeah, under good conditions, with, you know, it's 45 minutes what they rated.
And they-
Of course,
and you get a
wind
6
makes a
battery
difference.
rack.
What's that?
And you got a 6 battery rack. You
Yeah.
get 6 battery.
Yeah.
Wow.
And this unit too, it's really kind of cool, I'm gonna keep on going. It has a return to home feature, so if it loses its connection, it knows where it launched from. And if your controller goes dead, you just wait for it, it'll come back and land right there. If it starts to run out of battery, it's always calculating how much battery it needs to get back. So when it doesn't have enough power, it'll come back. You know, so it's very hard to lose it, which was.
Must have been 4 or 5 years ago when they first came out. It was the beginning of the season, we were outside, and here comes a guy walking down the beach, and he's got the thing out, and he's playing with the thing, and like he comes by the house, he runs it over the house, then he runs it out over the water, and he goes down right in the water. I go like this, what happened? He goes like this, I don't care, my mother-in-law got it for me anyway. True story.
Oh, well. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for the approval.
Going in next.
Just, can I?
Of course.
How fast is this thing? You say it's got a 9-mile range, but how,
Top speed is 90 miles an hour.
so it's gonna get out there pretty quick?
It's gonna get out there really quick, but again, it's all conditions, weather conditions make a big difference. Wind, you have to fight the wind and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, 'cause,
No,
just,
no peeking on you.
I know what I want for Christmas.
yeah, it sounds like a neat item. You know, when it has infrared, does it have visual, regular camera?
Yeah, you do side by side. You know, your regular camera, oh, and the zoom, so much more. The zoom factors on this too, I forget the, I should have brought the spec sheet, but you can zoom in and look at a license plate from like 300 feet in the air. You know, it's just, their zoom capabilities are amazing. It's an optical, as opposed to digital, zoom on it, so it's much clearer, so.
Okay, I
yeah,
was just
that's all.
wondering if you were out there looking at boats at night and you wanted to take a registration off, you would need absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be able to get a registration at night. I'd get the outline of the boat, I'd get the hotspot, I'd get that picture, but as far as looking at the actual
Well,
numbers.
you say it has lights.
Oh, I could go over and, you know, sure, I could light it up. Yeah, I could light the boat up, sure. Yeah. But to be seen.
Great.
I think that flying light in the night would throw the terror into anyone out there.
Oh, you see those blinking lights, it's got the strobe, there's certain things it has to have. It has the aviation lights and everything on it, you know, so you'll see it. You know, but no.
Can't wait to see you coming down the beach.
Excellent.
We have anything else?
No, the, Tracy's, there's no, we know town administrator report, we do not have any old business in front of us. The next DCC meeting is this Thursday night at Salisbury Town Hall. For anyone who wishes to attend, I will be there. And at that point, we should hear an update around the walkthrough of the middle school, high school campus. But I have no word on that. And then the only other thing is that our next meetings on the calendar is Tuesday, December 6th, but I would like to propose that we skip that. I talked to Tracy, we will not be ready for budget cycle, and there is a public hearing that night, which would be using this room, and would also allow members of this committee, if they wish to attend that as well. So we don't think that there's we don't typically meet in December, so.
Now, did Tracy have a town administrator's report prepared for tonight?
No, there
Or-
was nothing
Okay.
really
Okay.
up for us.
There wasn't, okay.
No. No, I asked her if there was anything we should be covering. And she knew about the reserve fund transfer and had sent that to me on, I think, Friday or Monday.
Nice.
So if everyone's in favor, we'll set our next meeting at Tuesday, January 3rd of 2023, not 2022, which I wrote on the agenda, so.
7 o'clock.
7 PM here, unless there's any switch around with Board of Selectmen, but there shouldn't be.
No.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
I-
We are adjourned.